Hey guys, Cold here. Welcome to another Racial Alliance video. Guys, in this one, we'll be going over each epic champion that I do think deserves the title of an all-rounder from each of the factions. We'll be going and picking one champion out of each faction, which I think is an all-rounder. All-rounder, in my point of view, is a champion that can be used in dungeons, faction wars, arena, clan boss, doom tower, and all-rounder. Okay, you can use him in all aspects of the game. The investment that you're going to put in that champion will be worthwhile and will be much deserved for your account. So let's get started. Before we get started, of course, click the subscribe button if you haven't already, and the like button. It definitely helps out, guys. So getting started with the Bannerlords, we're going to go down the list. We go, of course, to the epics. There's many epics here which I would say that are usable with different teams, but the all-rounder, in my opinion, that definitely deserves this title should be Stag Knight, okay? The reason for this, guys, is Stag Knight provides much utility needed through that decreased defense and decreased attack. He's a great support in that sense. Decreased defense, you need it to do more damage. Very simple. You can even use it on the clan boss at the early beginnings when you don't have a champion that does that. Plus the decreased attack, it's huge on a 3-tier cooldown if you fully book it out. Of course, guys, he also has this fantastic passive which increases your accuracy on your ally who gets a resist going. So that helps him in his next turn in order to apply any of his debuffs. And that's very helpful for those champions that still have that low amount of accuracy. At the beginning of your account, you'll find that this is very useful. And he also has a decreased speed debuff on his A1, which is fantastic. Accompanied with his high speed, this champion will be used in many areas, dungeons, arena, even that his spirit is still going to be used for arena. You'll see that you use him even for doom tower in order to control those waves with the decreased defense, decreased attack. Fantastic champion. I definitely think that he deserves the title of an all-rounder for this specific faction. Next up, we've got the High Elves. So the High Elves don't have that many epics compared to all the other factions, but I do think that there's one champion, a classic champion, an OG, that I would say this guy deserves the title, and he's none other than Tyrell. Okay, I would have gone for Vergis. Vergis was very close in this decision, but I still think Tyrell has a much more deserved title for this. He has a big kit revolving all of his abilities. His aura is an all ally boost in defense. His A1 applies a decreased attack. His A2 provides a decreased defense, and if the target has a decreased attack, he can also place a sleep, which is insane. He also has an A3 which can stun and also decrease turn meter by 15%. So you can use this guy even in the spider. Great amount of utility provided by a champion who is defensive, does big damage on the clan boss as well, because he just built him out with critical damage and high defense. You'll see on what kind of damage I'm telling you guys about. You even see that in the clan boss, he does like 200,000 if you build him with high enough stats. Of course, he's such a great champion. I would say Vergis is a very close second, and of course Royal Guard as the third. Every single other epic doesn't come close compared to the amount of utility that these three provide. But of course, number one is Tyrell. Next up, we've got the Sacred Order, more than double than the previous faction. The amount of epics here are insane, but I still think there's one epic here that deserves the title. It's a brand new epic compared to all the other ones that we have here, and it's none other than Deacon Armstrong. Okay, a very close one here. I would have said it would be God Security. An OG here is Alpha, that's really good, and Mordecai, of course. You guys know his value for the spider, but not really in all other areas. But Deacon Armstrong, the way that he provides so much field turn meter, decrease turn meter for the enemies, and then boost his own turn to get another turn and apply a decreased defense is just insane. The amount of turns that this champion can get with a relentless set is just funny. You'll see him taking turns over and over and over again. And he also has a leech debuff on his A1, which gives him the opportunity to be a clan boss champion as well because of that leech. It's like a weaker version of the lifesteal set, 18% instead of 30%. And he also has a speed aura if you still need to boost your stats a little bit as an overall when going into the clan boss or arena or even dungeons. If you need that extra bit of boost to your speed, he has it. He has everything with this kid, and I think he's the fantastic all-rounder. Next up, we've got the Barbarians faction. There's many champions here that provide utility in different areas of the game. High Katoon, fantastic daily login champion. We even have Skyter Shaman as a great arena support, but support overall, but she does have that weird passive going in for her. We also have Suwai, who does really solid damage in many areas of the game. We even have Harkin, which is more of a newer one champion, but not really used. But then, of course, Farrakhan the Fat is the MVP, the all-rounder of the Barbarians. Farrakhan the Fat has so much utility to bring into a team, not only for the clan boss, but that's really where he shines. He provides more utility in other areas too. He has the all ally attack with his A3 and the critical rate, critical damage, which enables the blender setup for arena. If you guys didn't know it, it enables more damage in the clan boss without needing so much stats for your own team. But of course, you need to speed tune him right for this. He also provides poisons and an HP burn on his A2 and a decreased defense on his A1. Plus, he has a little bit more survivability than other champions of a similar role because of that deflection that he has on his passive. The body block, 20% of damage, is going to your allies, but that's still great because it means he can survive a little bit longer. And you can use him in the clan boss, use him in arena, use him in dungeons. You can even use him in the Doom Tower just to get those enemies down. Next up, guys, we've got the Ogryn Tribes, and very similarly to the previous faction, there's many champions here that deserve a title. As an all-rounder, though, is a champion that will be getting nerfed soon, okay? Very close second will be Maneater, just because of how much of an MVP he is for the clan boss. I wouldn't say he's not used anywhere else. You can even use him in arena in kind of a niche setup with the Unkillable. You can even use him for his A2, which completely depletes the perimeter of enemies. Fantastic skill, very usable for faction wars as well. It was a very close decision, but Ogryn, guys, even though I don't have him and even though he's getting nerfed, I do believe that he'll still have a big use in all counts that you get him. He still deserves to be maxed out. Even if this goes to a 6-turn cooldown, reduces the amount of poisons to 2 on all enemies, reduces the continuous heal buffs to 1 instead of 2, at a 4-turn cooldown when fully booked, this will still be an insane amount of support that he can provide, plus damage. He will also have the healing available, plus cleanse, and his A1. Even if this is nerfed, this will still be a good source of poisons against enemies. This champion has it all for clan boss, for dungeons. I would say even for arena, if you go for a more poison explosion kind of setup, but not really used as an arena champion at all. I would say the lead is fantastic, 20% boost to your speed in all areas, not easily accessible, and compared to everybody else, I would say that he is the most all-rounder, so he deserves that title. Next up, guys, we've got the Lizardmen, not a faction with many epics available. Many of these have their uses, more niche uses than anything, but I think Jarek deserves the title of an all-rounder. The reason is he provides a decreased attack on the A1, A2, ally protection, increased defense, and a passive that can be ignored if you don't realize on how strong this can be. When your allies get hit by a big attack, this usually happens on the clan boss, the Doom Tower, but it can even happen in the arena. You can use him as a more defensive champion to provide a continuous heal buff to your ally who gets hit by a big attack. Can be used as a kind of C team on your 3v3 tag arena. He'll provide a ton of support to your team, very high HP champion on his base, and then also very awesome aura with a 33% boost to the HP to your allies. Great champion. Usually neglected on how simple he seems with only one really attacking skill. The other one is the ally protection, but a lot of utility around this champion. Next up, guys, we've got Skinwalkers. Skinwalkers, again, don't have many champions. We're going to have this new champion released during this fusion. You can acquire him through fragments, but I still think he's not really worthy of an all-rounder title. Everybody else seems average on what they do. You can definitely use a Feign in unkillable teams. She is fantastic in the amount of damage that she does, but she really lacks in other areas where you do not have that utility of that unkillable buff available at all times. We also have Basher, who's like a mini warlord, but really he lacks in other areas. He's got some kind of control. So I think the all-rounder title should go to Steel Skull. Poisons on the A1, cleanse on the A2, plus heal, very similar to Ogryn. And then he also has an increased defense and a big heal on his A3. Fantastic skill. He is the savior of the faction wars, definitely usable for faction wars. I took mine to 60 on both of my accounts, my main account and my free-to-play account. Fantastic, and will definitely help you finish those faction wars, plus the dungeons, plus clan boss damage insane amount of utility coming out of this champion. Next up, guys, we've got the Orcs. The Orcs here have many champions to do different things, but the all-rounder title is a bit difficult to bring into any of these champions. What is a difficult decision here? Because none of these champions really provide something for the clan boss. There's not a real clear decision here. Sandlash Survivor here does provide some utility for the clan boss, but she doesn't provide it on her own. She needs to be accompanied with other champions for this to really shine. We have Rask there, who is great for that amount of healing, but very simple in terms of his kit, not really used for arena, for example. Ultimate Galek really used only for the spiders. Then we have Zergala, who's a great damage dealer, but really needs the gear and books to really see her value, and again, not used for the clan boss, and not so much for some specific dungeons. We got Duke, fantastic champion for the decreased attack and decreased defense, but of course Seer has to get this title. She's the MVP of all end game dungeon teams at the moment, even Doom Tower teams. She can be used in arena if you build her properly, so with high accuracy, so you strip the buffs from enemies and actually bring down the nukes on them. So great utility coming out of a champion, great damage, and very usable in the late game. Seer definitely gets this title. So guys, we're halfway through this video. What do you think of the choices so far? Do you agree with them? Leave it down in the comments below. While you're at it, click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Let's get going on with the Demonspawn. So Demonspawn, again, a faction with lots of champions that I've used before. None of them, I would say, has zero value at all, like absolutely zero value. Even Soul Drinker right here. Maybe Tarshan, I haven't really used it, but I would say that this was a difficult decision again because of how much you can use some of this champion in specific areas. Umbral Enchantress is a very solid example of an all-rounder, but she doesn't get the title. She is not usable at all for the clan boss. She falls off in the Doom Tower, especially depending on the enemies that you have against you. We've got Padma, who is still good, but again, not really used in some areas of the game. She still has a very solid A1, I would say. We've got Dur, who's a brand new addition, which I didn't really consider because I haven't played around too much with him, but he's a reviver, so great as a use for a reviver. I would say Magnar, damage dealer, again, great damage dealer to have, but I would say as an all-rounder that you get the benefit in all stages of the game, almost. Okay, almost. This was a very difficult decision. It's gonna go to Allure. Allure, I think, deserves the title. You can use her in almost all dungeons. I've used her in a video before that I've done, which was one team only doing all dungeons on 20. So I did Ice Golem 20, Dragon 20, Spider 20, and Fire Knight 20 by using an Allure in my team. She was the key there because of that perimeter control. She has a defense down, the A2, so still usable as a way to have a defense down if you don't have one already, and an additional nice nuke with her A3. But really where she shines is her A1, which is insane for many bosses around the game, and especially now with the nerf to perimeter manipulation for stages 21 to 25. You'll see that your Allure will find use even at those stages of the game, and even in arena sometimes when you need some kind of perimeter manipulation on maybe a C team for tag team arena. I would say not really for classic arena, nobody uses her in there, but for tag team arena you'll definitely see that she'll fit a slot until you get something that's more niche and more usable. Next up, guys, we've got the Undead Hordes with many epics available that have uses in specific situations. I would say though that the one you'll see the most use out of, in my opinion, would be, this is a tough one. I was very close to saying Seeker. Seeker has many uses for arena, has uses for clan boss, but really not really used for dungeons. You can still use him for dungeons, but I would say that Gorgorab takes that away from him. Even for clan boss maybe, because of his meter boost there, the ability to revive allies when they get down, he'll still find some use in there as well. Of course, you cannot deny his use for arena, but that amount of utility coming out of a champion, you can actually remove buffs. He can boost the perimeter of allies, increase attack, also revive, and also be used in arena. All these four skills together are just fantastic as an all-rounder champion. This was again a difficult decision to make, as a clear clan boss champion here is not easily found. I would say that Anax finds more use than everybody else for the clan boss. Even Vogoth has some use for the clan boss in there, extending the duration of debuffs and also healing the teams. But again, I don't think he is an all-rounder compared to Gorgorab. Gorgorab has many uses in many different areas, and especially arena, you'll see that you'll find use for him. He can even be used at level 50 and still be usable. So the investment, even at 50, is definitely worth it. Next up, we've got the Dark Elves faction. Of course, here, I just wanted to say that this was a more difficult decision because we've got Dark Kale here. And the reason for this is he's a very clear choice on being the best epic available from this faction. But since he's not out yet, not available for us to use, and not easily accessible to newer players, not a shard accessible champion, I'm not going to consider him for this specific video. I would say the all-rounder for this specific faction would go to Sylar. I think Sylar deserves it more than Madame Ceres. I think Sylar has a ton of utility, even on Doom Tower later stages where she has so much AoE. Give her a stun set, you'll see so much control, a decrease speed debuff on all enemies, plus a decrease in Terminator by 40% is huge. She also has this fantastic aura for the Dark Elves faction, an amazing epic that you definitely deserve to have at 60. Madame Ceres is of course amazing, guys. Do not think for any second that I don't consider her as an amazing champion, but I still think that Sylar is a fantastic carry, and you'll see her real value even in arena, where you can use her as a reverse Lysandra. Instead of boosting your team and also decreasing Terminator, she can actually decrease the Terminator plus apply a decreased speed on enemies, which will be huge for your own team for arena. Madame Ceres, on the other hand, can be used for dungeons for the decreased defense, but she is a very slow champion in her animations. She's not really used in other areas other than the arena, I would say. Not used at all on the clan boss, but I would say the same thing for Sylar. So out of all these champions, I would say Sylar gets the title of the all-rounder, but Kaden can come real close if you want to consider maybe the clan boss as well, since he does have a decreased attack. He has a revive as well, plus an increased defense on the revived ally, so you can definitely use him in there too. But if I had the two, I would go for Sylar first and then maybe Kaden to 50, where he's still usable in there as well. Next up, guys, we've got the Night Revenant with a crazy amount of epics that are usable in so many places. Miscreated Monster. Cannot deny that he's an amazing champion, but I've never used him honestly on the clan boss. You can still use him because of the Ally Protect. Very good decision to use if you're lacking Ally Protect. You have that extra slot, you have him at 60 already. You can still use him. Ally Protect is great for mitigating damage. Okay, 3 turn duration Ally Protect, 4 turn cooldown though, so you have to consider that. Great champion overall. Definitely recommend getting 1 to 60. Still don't think he deserves the all-rounder. Sinesha can be a damage dealer, can be a support. Faction Wars worthy, fantastic. Doom Priest, again, an insanely simple champion, but so versatile in what she can be used for clan boss, for arena, even for cleansing out those pesky debuffs from your team. For Doom Tower specifically, she's been used in so many endgame teams because of how much utility her healing provides, plus her cleanse. So cannot deny her use even at level 50, but 60 she just opens up more possibilities because she gains way more stats, becomes tankier and much easier to have as a support. You also have Sepulchre Sentinel, who's fantastic for the clan boss, but not really used in other areas. She does have a good kit, but really only used on the clan boss by most people out there. We also have Rector Drath, who has a revive, has a healing, has a decreased attack. This is like a fantastic champion to have at 60. You'll see how much use she'll have as an overall champion. You have this new one, Thylesia, who's not even considered. And we also have, guys, Skullcrown, who's a fantastic damage dealer, as an overall damage dealer, but not really used for the clan boss ever. So out of all these champions, I would say with a close second, the #1 all-rounder is Rector Drath. Okay, I was very close with Doom Priest. Doom Priest, I would say that I have used her more than Rector Drath specifically, but the availability of this revive gives her the opportunity to get you those 3 stars in the faction wars compared to Doom Priest, where she does provide only a healing and a cleanse. But the healing and cleanse are often neglected. So I would say in the top 3 would be Rector Drath, Doom Priest, and Miscreated, but Rector Drath gets that title. And the final 2 guys, we've got Dwarves and Shadowkin. I think you guys know which one I'll select out of the Dwarves. And of course, it's gonna be Geomancer. This champion is so good, even compared to Demytha, this brand new epic dwarf that we have. Geomancer is insane with this HP burn that he applies to enemies. He not only applies it on a 3-turn cooldown, he fully depletes a target's turn meter and then fills himself with turn meter. So this is basically a 2-turn cooldown if you target an enemy with full turn meter. Insane amount of damage kind of HP burn on the clan boss. You'll see big numbers if you use him in your team. We also have this one, which is Stone Guard, which provides a decrease in damage that your allies receive by 15% and also a deflection back onto the boss. He also can steal that increased attack from the clan boss or any other enemy that he attacks with this. And he also applies decreased accuracy, which is needed for much later on stages of the Doom Tower. He's still used in so many areas. Definitely the all-rounder that the Dwarves deserve. And finally, guys, with this Shadowkin faction, although I have not used this in a faction wars kind of setup, I still know who deserves the title for this because of my experience with this champion, and it's gonna go to Toragi. All the other champions, I've dealt with them a little bit, but nothing too special that I would say deserve any kind of praise for all areas of the game. But Toragi deserves this. Decreased attack on the A1, A2 with a provoke on an AoE basis, A3 ally protect, shield, reflect damage, healing on himself. Insane. It's just one skill, okay, with a 3-turn cooldown. And he also has a passive which applies poisons to the target, so this can be big for fighting bosses and especially the clan boss. And he also has an ally resist aura by 40, so you can use him everywhere as a lead if you're lacking that little bit of resist and you want to do something fancy with resist. So definitely deserves that title. So much utility coming, so diverse, so diverse amount of skills available on this champion. So I do think that he deserves this. Of course, guys, if you disagree or you think somebody else should have taken the title for any of the factions, leave it down below. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. See ya.